The moment you enter Amazon.com, you exit capitalism. Welcome to techno-feudalism.
Because Amazon itself is not a market. Like, it sort of looks like a market. You're buying and selling things there. Multiple buyers and sellers are selling things. But it sounds like you'd argue that you are so firmly under Jeff's boot when you are on Amazon.com as either a buyer or a seller that this is not a free market, certainly.
It's not a market at all. It's not only that it's not free. It's not a market. You see, the way I visualize is this. Because, there is a lot of criticism of what I'm saying by people who say, come on, Yannis, it's still a market. It's monopolized. It's a monopolistic market. It's owned by one man, Jeff Bezos. Well, I beg to differ. Think of a Western movie, a really bad Western movie, where you and I are riding into some town that is owned by one person. Let's call that person Jeff again, right? And we discover very soon that in this Western setting, every shop in that town, the post office, the saloon bar, the bank, everything, the police station, the sheriff, is owned by that one man, Jeff, right? Now, that's a monopolistic market.
Right.
But that's not Amazon.com. Amazon.com is far worse. Because, you see, if you and I were to ride into this town, this imaginary town somewhere in the far west, when you and I looked to our left in the same direction to a particular shop window, you and I will be seeing the same thing. But in Amazon.com, we're not seeing the same thing. If you and I, as we speak, were to type in Amazon.com, electric bicycle or binoculars or, whatever, you would get a different list to the one I would get. Because the algorithm that Jeff owns knows me and you very, very well. They have huge quantities of data on us. So they know our likes, dislikes, how much money we're prepared to pay for anything. And it will match you and me to different kind of vendors, vendors that the algorithm knows just as well as it knows us, with one intention in mind: to maximize the capacity of just the statistical probability that Jeff Bezos will extract the maximum amount of rent from that capitalist who will sell us the electric bicycle or binoculars. So, in a sense, there is an algorithm that matches every buyer to every seller in ways that the buyer and the seller cannot control. Buyers cannot talk to one another. They cannot talk to sellers, except any communication that the algorithm permits in the interest of maximizing the rents extracted by Jeff Bezos. Now, this is not a market. A market is a place which has to be decentralized, at least on one side. Even if you have a monopolistic market, buyers can talk to one another. They can even, ideally or in theory, discuss with one another a consumer boycott. When you are in Amazon.com, you can't do that because the algorithm will never allow you to communicate with anybody. So a market which is completely, totally centralized. Think of it. This would be a dream come true for the Soviet Economic Planning Agency. Because the whole point about the Soviet Union's, I really truly believe that. Because I've studied for quite a while the way in which Gosplan, the planning ministry of the Soviet Union, worked and what they were intending to do. And I can tell you, for them, they had never imagined the algorithm that Jeff Bezos has at his disposal. But when I read, what it is that they wanted to do, that's exactly what they want. They wanted to know exactly what consumers wanted. They wanted to know exactly what producers were capable of producing. And they wanted to make the producers produce stuff that then they would match to particular consumers in a way that was in the interest of the system, neither of the producers nor of the consumers. That's what Bezos' algorithm does. So that's why I insist, this is not a market. It's a trading place. It's a digital trading place which operates like a kind of techno thief or fiefdom. I call it a cloud thief. And so as not to give the impression to our listeners, to our viewers, that this is only pertinent to Amazon.com. wherever you go, in whichever country you go to Malaysia today, you go to India, you go to Nigeria, you'll find that besides Amazon.com, there are such digital or cloud thieves belonging to local magnates. And you've got this feudal system comprising many different digital or cloud thieves, where about 30 or 40% of all payments are, in the end, they end up in the pockets of not the producers, not the workers who have helped produce on behalf of their companies and their employers the products that are being sold, but they're being confiscated in the form of cloud rents by the cloudalists, the owners of cloud capital.